Welcome back to Troy's Garage. My name's Troy. This is my garage. In today's video, we're back on Kermit de Ford. It's a 1972 F100. It's got a Ford 302. Obviously, it's got a Ford, but it's a 302 automatic. And today, we're working on the carrier bearing. It's got a little bit of slop in it. I'll show you that underneath the truck, but I think we probably ought to just replace it. Better safe than sorry. In order to replace the carrier bearing, I need to remove the drive shaft completely. We'll start at the rear diff, disconnect the U-joint there. This will give us a good chance to double check the U-joints, make sure everything's good there. Re-grease those if they're good, replace them if they're not. Once the rear end is disconnected, then we can disconnect that and then drop the actual carrier bearing itself. In shopping for carrier bearings for this, there's at least 3 options, if not 4. So I'm just going to take it in with me to the O'Reilly's and make sure that I get the correct one for this application. Not sure what all the differences are, not super well versed in that, but let's dig in and see what we can do. Basically what you're doing is just removing these 4 nuts. Got 2 on one side, 2 on the other. Those come off, and then you sometimes have to use a pry bar to get this thing to loosen and come off. But let's find out what size these are first. Oh, first guess, 1/2 inch. Lefty loosey. And it is packed with grease, so this is gonna be fun. There we go. And then just set all your hardware off to the side. Or just drop it on the ground. That's perfect. Make sure you get all your washers and everything that go with that. We'll do a quick cleanup on the wire wheel so that all this stuff is clean. Obviously, I'm leaking from the pinion seal, so we're going to replace that as well. That will probably be in the next video, though, when I replace the fluid in the rear differential. One thing at a time, baby steps. Yep, that is definitely leaking. Okay, it's now loose. So if you take your little pry bar, you don't have to get too crazy with it. It should just come out kind of like so. The next thing that I like to do so that I don't lose any of my needle bearings that are down inside these is I like to take just your standard electrical tape, and I just take the tape and I go around the U-joint to hold those caps on. This step's not completely necessary, but if you've ever lost the needle bearings out of one of these, you'll know why I'm doing this. So I just go around a couple times. This one's extra greasy, so that should do it. Okay, that'll hold. Then you can just set that down for a second. Now that the far end is disconnected, we can remove it from this, and this should just pull straight out. Sometimes these come out easy, sometimes not so much. Oh, that's not so bad. That came out way easier than I thought it would. All right, we're just going to set this off to the side. So now we can disconnect the actual carrier bearing itself. Those look like they're either 7/8 or something. Ooh, smaller than 3/4. Hey, 11/16 it is. Whoa, those are crispy. Come on now. Let's go. All right, this calls for some aim penetrating lubricant. We're going to put it on the top of these. Let it get down into the threads. A little down in here. This stuff's amazing. Link down in the description. Oh yeah, it's already better. And I could use power tools for this, but I like to show that these jobs are possible with just simple hand tools. So simple breaker bar with a little bit of an extension and a socket, and you can get this one loose. The other is a 1/2 inch on the U-joints. Yep, got a little bit of aim on that one as well. You know, sometimes you do what you gotta do. All right, shifting gears. We're going further to the front. This should be a 1/2 inch wrench again. I'll bet that a 1/2 inch socket would fit on that super easy. Let's work smarter, not harder. Oh, and it won't. I'll bet a wobble bit might help me though. Yeah. Nope, that is just not going to work. Won't reach it. Nice try, pal. All right, box end wrench it is for a 1/2 hour. Okay, and then with the magic of editing, that is now done. Now very carefully so I don't drop this thing on my face. We're going to need that pry bar back, I think. Okay, U-joints are off. Everything else is loose. Taking off these bolts on the carrier bearing so that when this comes loose I can just pull it down, and I believe we're ready for that. Rear clips are coming off and the carrier bearing is free. There we go. I'm gonna once again put tape around this so I don't lose the needle bearings. This is actually a greasable fitting, so we're gonna get that all cleaned up and we'll re-grease this end. I didn't notice if the other one was greasable or not. We'll scope that out in a second. And there's our carrier bearing out. Tape on that end. And there's my wife. Yep, there she is. You're fine. You're very fine. The next step is actually removing the carrier bearing from the drive shaft. To do that, we've got to get this rubber portion and this outer shell off of the inner bearing. And to do that, you just kind of get a pry bar back behind there and pry that out, and eventually just kind of work your way around, and eventually it'll pop right off. So let's give that a go. Gonna push it off the table. Come on. Almost there. Let's go. Show you what it looks like at about the halfway mark. You just keep prying that around, and eventually it'll pop right off. In fact, it might just go by hand at this point. Yep, like that. So that's what it looks like halfway disassembled. Now we've got to get this. This is the actual bearing itself. We got to get that pulled off. To do that, we're going to need a puller. And I'm going to look and see if I have one big enough. If not, it's a good opportunity to go buy a new tool. That's the biggest 3-job puller I've got, and it is nowhere near big enough. So, headed off to Harbor Freight. Back from Harbor Freight, got the tool that we need, an 8-inch 3-job puller. Hopefully 8 inches will do it. If not, I might have to order something on Amazon. This was the biggest one that my Harbor Freight had. So I got to get this thing assembled because it doesn't come fully assembled. And then we'll get it attached to that and try to get that thing off of there. Yeah, so I'm sitting here editing this right now, and let me just save you a whole bunch of trouble. A 3-jaw puller is nowhere near a big enough tool or a beefy enough tool to do this task. So you may already know that, but I'm here to tell you that I learned that by experience. So let's just fast forward and I'll show you what actually worked for removing the bearing. All right, next day, Harbor Freight was closed when I went there. So when that was a huge fail, I had to go back. This was the last one on the shelf. When I was looking at that, I actually looked at this. I should have just bought both. I almost did, just didn't. But anyway, had to go back, grab that real quick. Got my going to town clothes on. There's my rolling under the truck clothes. We'll be wearing those in a minute. But I got to get that pressed off of that drive shaft so I can take the thing into the O'Reilly's and get the right part ordered. Hopefully it can come today because I'm trying to pound this thing out today. I was going to try to use just regular old hand tools for stuff, but I have a press. I need that. I tried doing it the other way. So apparently, if you can't get it off with one of those, you're going to need something more than hand tools. Let's get that thing set up, get it over here, get that thing all configured. I'll set up the camera so you can watch that thing be pressed out. And then we'll go to O'Reilly's. You've got to be kidding me. I didn't have it running for that. Oh my gosh, that's stupid. Well, anyway, it's off. I'm breathing hard. That was a little more work than I thought it was going to be. Sacrificed the dust shield, bent the crap out of that. I could only push it down inside the press about probably about an inch. But it was enough to break it free from the shaft. And then I took it all the way out with the whole bottom arm assembly of the, whatever that's called, the press. And then I just tapped it on the ground, tap, 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 probably about 5 times. Pretty good bangs, and it finally dropped all the way off. So it's off, but now I got to go take it to the O'Reilly's. That was not quiet. And see if we can get a new one. All right. Challenge accepted. All right, back from O'Reilly's. Got the brand new carrier bearing right there. The old one right there. What I did though, I tried to find a new dust shield for this, or a dust ejector, whatever, dust ejector 4000, I don't know what they call those things. But they didn't have one in stock, so I'm gonna have to just kind of tweak on that and metal fabricate with a hammer to get that back into shape so that the bearing will fit up inside of it. So that'll take a little bit of doing. I won't show that, but I got to get that thing pressed on here, and let's go.
Seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Literally while paint dries, I took time to wire wheel the bolts that hold the carrier bearing in place, and also the little U-brackets that hold the front U-joint together. U-brackets, U-joint. Probably not why they call them U-brackets. They probably don't even call them U-brackets. But anyway, while paint dries before we can put this thing back on the truck. Let's talk through all of the things we still need to do on this truck. I'll start at the front and just kind of by memory go through this. So I need to tune the carb. The carb was rebuilt. I did a real quick tune on it just to make sure that it would start, and it basically idles. I need to reset the choke. The choke opens too fast for the temperature, so it never really fully warms up. I have to sit there and keep my foot on the gas to keep it running. And then we're also doing the heater core, not because it's leaking, but out of preventative maintenance. So I've already got the part for that, so a video is coming on that. So like, share, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notified. This, again, is a 1972 F100. It's two-wheel drive. It is the long box version, which I actually prefer because then you can actually use it as a truck. This is not going to be all spit shined up and brand new paint job. I mean, we can see through the fenders and stuff. So this is what it is. It's going to be back on the road and used in small town USA for small town USA truck things. Mostly cruising up and down Main Street. Rig's going to take his boy for a ride in this thing over and over and over, put smiles on that kid's face, take him fishing, building all kinds of memories in this truck. Thank you, Rig, for trusting me with this project and letting me help you out with this. Put all new exhaust on it. It's got dual exhaust, one tip out each side. Thrush exhaust, thrush mufflers. Inside, working our way from front to back, right? I've got the dash out of it. It's actually right there. You can see you can't see through the lens there. I'm going to disassemble that thing altogether and polish that as best I can without destroying the plastic. Put it all back together. I'm going to paint the bezel so that it looks better than used, but not quite new, because new would not have paint all over it. But I made an executive decision on that, so I'm going to do that, and Rig will be happy when it's done. I'll do a nice job on it. This is the dash pad out of it. It's pretty nasty cracked. There's a previous video of us pulling this thing out, and I show it kind of up close and personal, but I'm going to do my best to salvage that, get rid of the cracks, fill them in with Bondo, and then paint it. I might cover it with some sort of a covering of some sort. I'm not sure. Whatever it takes to make it look good enough for Rig. Also on the interior, it just basically needs a good cleaning in here. A high level detail. We've already repaired the rust damage. That's also a previous video. Put new carpet, sound deadening insulation underneath the carpet. So the interior is really close to done. Oh, I've got to put that's the glove box. So that's a brand new piece from LMC truck. That needs to go back in the glove box, making it hold stuff again instead of just drop out the bottom. But while that's out, I'm going to do the heater core. So that's why that's not back in yet. Also up here at the front wheels, I'm going to pull those apart and look at the bearings, repack them. I think the bearings are going to be fine, but if they're not, we'll replace them. But we're going to repack them. This is going to go on a road trip from Salt Lake City, Utah, down to St. George, Utah, as it's Get Her Done 91. Get Her Done I-15 is what it actually is. Then back here in the back, same thing on the rear. I'm going to pull those apart, take a look at the bearings, paint the hubs. Same thing at the front, paint the hubs because they're going to show through the wheels because we're not putting any caps on it. So that's Wimbledon white with the dark green, light green. This is Kermit because green. Oh, and then in the back, we have some electrical stuff going on. The passenger tail light is not working. No brakes, no marker lights. The wiring harness comes down this side of the truck and then goes over there. So something from here over is not working right. And then on the entire truck, we're going to do a Poppy's Patina wipe-on clear coat. Because it's winter outside, I can't really wash the truck, so I'm struggling with what to do on that. I'll probably wait for a day when the roads are super dry, take it to a car wash, spray it off as best I can, and then drive it home carefully, avoiding as much dirt and dust as I can. Get it back in here, and then do a full wipe down on it. May do clay bar just to kind of eliminate some of the stuff you can actually feel. Same thing up there on the roof. I got to do something, SOS pad or something to kind of knock that down so it's smooth. But being gentle on the paint, I did take it to a high pressure car wash. Well, with the wand, right? Going across here, and it just it's starting to take the paint off. So got to be gentle with these things. They are 50 some odd years old. This is 51 years old. It acts accordingly. It's got an attitude. We're going to do Poppy's wipe on patina on this bad boy. So, well, we're using flat black paint, so anything that's still shiny is still wet. So I guess it's time for me to go eat lunch. Let's not get anxious. I did break out my grease gun, and I greased the U-joint back here. It feels great. There's no binding or anything on it, so it doesn't catch or anything. Put enough grease in it that it started bubbling out of there. So I know that it's got enough in it, but it was thirsty. It soaked it right up. Took 5 or 6 good pumps before anything started coming out of it. That is the front half of the driveline. I still have the back half to clean and also paint, grease the fittings in it, make sure that the U-joints are fine. They felt fine when I took it out, even though they're kind of dry. They're going to be thirsty too. That's enough talking for one video. I guarantee you that. I'll be back when we're ready to slam this thing in the truck, and then we'll call it good. Oh, I missed something. The rear diff. We're going to replace the oil in the rear diff under there as well. That's the last thing. So subscribe, ring that bell, get notified of future stuff. Let's eat some lunch, get that thing put back in. See you in a few minutes. All right, let's look at the somewhat finished project. All right, rolling up under here. Oh, there we go. Hey, there you have it. From the back end of the transmission all the way down to a brand new carrier bearing. That's installed. That's a wrap for this video. I got to get started on the rear differential and such. But I wanted to thank you guys for following along. Appreciate you guys watching, interacting, liking, sharing, commenting, all that stuff. It really does make a difference. You hear YouTubers say it all the time, but without you guys interacting with videos, YouTube has no idea what to push to the top of the algorithm and whatnot. So all of those things mean the world to me. I appreciate all of my faithful followers, all 10 of you that comment on every video and actually watch my stuff. So appreciate that. Channel is growing, but the more like-minded people that we can get together and work through some of these things, you guys help me answer questions. I hopefully entertain as well as educate just a little bit. I'm starting to break my videos into individual components or individual tasks that I'm doing on the trucks so that they're more searchable and the videos have a longer life, right? It's not just whoever watches it in the first week, that's who sees it. That is kind of what the way a vlog is, and my channel needs to grow, and the way I grow is with long-term growth, not with daily views, weekly views, that kind of thing. So I do still appreciate every single view. That said, this is a 1972 Ford F100 Sport Custom long bed. This belongs to a buddy. His name's Rig. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. He's getting kind of a slow start, mostly because I have his truck in my garage. But he's got 73 that was his grandfather's. He'll be working on that on his channel. He's super busy. He's got a little boy that he takes care of, and winter is when he goes out and goes ice fishing and that sort of thing. So he's into the outdoor stuff. Follow him on Instagram. Super cool dude. Appreciate you, Rig, for all of the support, trusting me with your truck and your friendship more than anything. So it's cold enough in my garage. I'm having trouble talking. So appreciate you watching. Like I said, this is Troy, Troy's Garage. We'll see you guys very soon in the next video.